Chris B contacted me on my Facebook page with a conundrum. Hey Trogly, I have these pictures I took at Guitar Center in early 2019. Never knew what it was, still don't. I love a good mystery, so I decided to check these out. Really glad that he sent these photos in because we're in for a real treat here. Look at this thing. The first thing that's immediately noticeable is we have orange binding on this thing. Now we've been talking about the Widow series for a lot, so I'm not going to repeat their history here, but essentially we have a tinted clear coat on this. However, instead of the usual shtick of a flame maple top and then you get the colorings matching that, this one bucks that trend by essentially just being a black Les Paul custom with a really ambered over clear coat. Similar to what you can find on like a really aged Les Paul, but on top of that we have blacked out hardware with black pickup covers. So that just gives this a very unique look. And if you're not convinced that it's just the clear coat and you think they actually used an orange binding, look really closely right here where the light is reflecting off the finish. You can still tell there's a dark orange over that ebony. But now check out the headstock shot. That's just beautiful. It's all the regular stuff, but the extra darkness of the body pairs well with that headstock and the blacked out tuners. And unfortunately, this is the only photo we have of the back, but we can see the continuation of the exact black and orange theme. So certainly a lot different from what we're used to seeing. So to answer his next question of, have I ever seen anything like this before? It's yes. Around 2017-ish, the custom shop played around with Satin Widows, and they were trying to evolve on what a widow actually was, and sometimes you would find this color scheme. Like for example, this one is red, and then you've got the black, and then all the good satin finish, and I actually never even noticed the blacked out hardware until noticing it on this orange one. And yes, it is actually red. This photo is a little bit more clearer on the headstock. But prior to today, I had not actually seen a gloss widow done up in this color scheme. And since Gibson Custom Shop and Epiphone have been starting to crank these things out again, I think I'd like to see these. But here's the funny thing about 2017 Widows, is there is an era where if you look closely right here, you can actually tell they're actually 5-piece maple necks. You know, you've got your 2 walnut stripes. If you ever get a see-through finish, you can see that. Now besides that red, here's another one done up in blue, and it's one of the Flying V Widows. Now this one, at most angles, it will appear black, but again, it's catching the light, it actually appears dark blue. Well, you know what, now that I've looked at it over here, I don't know exactly what they were going for on this one, if it was supposed to be blue or maybe just the mahogany's a weird color, but we do have the continuation of our black hardware. So ultimately, I believe this to be a small batch run or some sort of a custom order from somebody who saw that and wanted the full gloss, or maybe the custom shop did produce a few of these and they just did not surface to the internet. Either way, thank you Chris for sending this in, it's pretty cool. And since we're talking about widows again, if you are outside of the United States and you were scared that you could never get one, here's hope. AMS now has an exclusive green one, but it's Peacock Green. I first found out about these after I had filmed those other episodes, and rightly so. Some people were sending me message saying, hey, here's that green one you were hoping for, and it's like, nah, it just kind of looks like the teal. Not what I was hoping for. If one of these dealers wants to make a lot of money, they'll go for the dark green one. But I felt obligated to let you guys know if you wanted a slightly different variation on it. But you know what? Coming back to the actual teal one, it does have that slightly lighter blue binding and much more of a dark burst, so I think that's your differences there. I would probably still go over here. But next up, another viewer reached out to me saying, hey, I bought this guitar brand new in 1985. I no longer have it, looking to track down something similar. Can you help me identify it? The first time I read his message, I just read, identify this guitar. I immediately went to the headstock and I thought, okay, that looks like 80s. I was initially thinking late 80s though, because we have the regular standard branding here. But he was asking, is this part of the Heritage series? In my opinion, I don't think so. This looks like a regular Les Paul standard. However, I believe he was saying something about he thought it was a dealer-specific exclusive. Sometimes you would find 2-piece tops in custom colors for dealers around that era, but it looks like we've got the regular Nashville-style bridge here. And now that I've been able to zoom in on this photo, I'm fairly confident that's just a really nice tobacco sunburst hue. Because at first I was questioning, is that actually gold burst? Which I suppose it could be. It's not the best photo quality in the world. And trust me, even though Google doesn't pull up 1984s a lot because they're showing a lot of studio standards and other brands, they did exist, and it's also possible your guitar was slightly later. But around 82, 83, they start to slim out those headstocks again. But as far as being a Heritage Series, I do not believe so. But I was really scratching my head on this one. Listed as Gibson Les Paul Deluxe Mod Shop Red Sparkle. Due to making and editing those episodes every week, I have a pretty decent recollection of many a mod collection guitars. Now, not all of them, but I know I would have remembered something like this, a Rocket Red Deluxe reissuing out of the mod collection. I wasn't so sure about this. I was thinking he was maybe trying to pull a fast one, but nah, sure enough, on the back. Zoom in, you lose all your quality, but you can see the Gibson Mod Collection decal, and that thing was fairly recent because it's when they did the switch over from the stamps. But I continue on through these photos, and yep, sure enough, everything's looking good. And then this photo. Ah, man, I remember that one. Metal knurled knobs, it had the metal P90s, and it was just relatively okay. But this guy saw this and knew what beauty it could become, because he was saying a Rocket Red Sparkle was his dream deluxe, so we bought it to make it. And I've got to say, Mark, you did a fantastic job, and that's why I had to feature this, because you made their finish look fantastic. Like, I'm surprised the mod collection just didn't sell it like this to begin with. But he's asking $3,500 if you want to make him an offer. But to follow that up, you can't talk about Rocket Red without Basalt Blue. So this is a 2010 reissue of an R7 for $4,500, which is not a very bad price on this. Like, it was just listed a couple hours ago. I don't anticipate, even in our current market, that this one is going to last around too incredibly long. Because if you know anything about 70s Les Paul Deluxe, they tend to have skinnier necks. They have really wide headstocks. They've got pancake bodies and a few other things that some people might not love. So to have a 57 reissue, that'll change up a lot of things for the guitar, including giving it a much chunkier neck. It's going to have a true ABR1 bridge like some of the early Sparkle Top Deluxe. Now what gets really confusing is, I mean, shouldn't we have called this an R6? Because then we'd had the P90 pickups and you swap them out for the mini humbuckers. Because a 57 would traditionally, unless we're talking like a really early 57, have humbucker pickups. So yeah, you got to give them a little artistic liberties in that, but it really transforms this guitar into different specs that could appeal to a different type of buyer. But nowadays, you won't touch an original for anywhere close to this price. That's non-broken anyways, but check out the wood grain there. I love that. I was tempted to pick this one up for a full review and documentation, just because it would be fun to side-by-side compare it to my Sparkle Tops to see, did they get the color right? Because there's actually two different versions to Sparkle Tops. But they've got a beautiful body on that one. And it looks like he maybe conditioned the fretboard. And even has the COA. Fantastic. If you're interested in it, feel free to go to the description. If you want to help support the show, come down to the description and click on my Reverb affiliate link. If you don't have an account yet, you can get $10 on me by using this one. Otherwise, you can use the other one that I normally have up here to get onto Reverb. And then you don't have to do anything more. Just look up your guitar and check out. But since we're talking about modified and 70s things, I gotta tip my hat to this creation too. At first glance, this just looks like a 70s RD. Now, if I remember my RD history correctly, there's only one version that would be laid out similarly to this, and it would not have this exact body wood and fretboard style configuration. So that would tip you off that something's wrong, but to the average guy, hey, we've got these beautiful ambered over speed knobs with our great walnut finish. Somebody did the old double cream humbucker pickups, TP6 tailpiece and all. But no, this is actually one of the 2008 reissues that somebody refinished and kind of revamped to look old. And what's really nice about this is it's not like aged to look old. They just modified it in a way that somebody totally would have back in the day to make this thing a rockin' machine. Now, I believe our scale length will be different on this one as compared to many vintage originals. Looks like you might have even had some sort of a Melody Maker Vibrola on here at one point. I wouldn't mind to see a Gibson USA release look similar to this. I'm kind of surprised. I thought that was a Gibson decal from those other photos, but no, it's true pearl, but with the more Henry J era headstock for it, and upgraded tuners that appear to be Planet Waves from this particular photo angle. I'm not surprised it sold for $1,650, but ouch. I didn't actually read the story. I didn't know it was one of those. No, the Silver Burst? Guitar of the Week one? Yeah, sure enough. I was thinking that was a rosewood fretboard that was just dark, but if that is ebony, that could be the case. Can't quite make out the serial number, but it looks like 0009 2008. So that'd make it really early 2008. And if I remember correctly, that is one of the last Guitar of the Week. So that does make sense and line up. So that means it would have originally looked something like this. Yeah, not as big of a fan of that project now. I was thinking it was one of these, the 2010-ish version, where, yeah, they did an amber natural, but it just didn't quite look convincing enough. So that's why I was really excited about that. But to end out our episode tonight, gotta give a shout out to this fun melody maker. It originally would have looked like this. Big pick guard taking up the entire thing that just has one humbucker, wrap tailpiece, single volume control. It was a fun idea. Maybe not the best seller, but fun. And from the back, it actually looks like it has a flying V headstock, which, I never really noticed that about those before. I mean, they were technically going for the melody maker style, but yeah, there you go. Sure enough, if you ever wanted to explore with a V headstock for cheap, you might check out one of those. But look what somebody did to one. I love it. They converted it to a regular style pick guard. They gave you two different humbuckers, and they Alan Collinsified it by putting one of those Melody Maker style vibrolas. Very fitting for a Melody Maker. Then they added some additional controls in really bad locations, but whatever. And oh my goodness, I thought this was just like scratches. No, they had to fill in wood due to the initial routes. So, I mean, at that point, why didn't they just put these in a better location? Call me crazy, but I think right here and there actually would have worked pretty well. And then they refinished it in the closest thing that they could get to a Carina finish. Now, according to this listing, I believe they said the bridge pickup is a dummy. It's either that or the neck. It's been a while since I've read the description. And no, they didn't do any headstock transplants, but I thought this thing looked pretty good, all things considered. But as per usual, when dealing with refinished guitars, be careful what you buy online, because just because it looks good doesn't mean it's gonna feel good when you get it. But hey, at least we still have the serial number, and that's the most important thing. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.